So I assume you saw the NBA Finals game. Maybe you didn't, based on the ratings. Not many people are watching this, although in Canada, a lot of people are watching it. But in America, not so many. But it's all, hey, you can't judge the ratings, man. There's only one American team in there. Okay. Well, assuming, it's a sports radio station, so I'm thinking maybe you had some kind of level of interest in this, but the Golden State Warriors, and you're listening right now, they had a big third period. That was it. They didn't play particularly well in any of the other parts of the game except for that 12-minute block of time in the third period, and that was enough to squeeze out a 109-105 win, even up, squared up the NBA Finals at 1 win apiece. Klay Thompson had 25 points, 4 money balls, then he got hurt. Steph Curry had 23 points. He didn't even get a field goal attempt in the fourth quarter, and the Warriors still won the game. He had 3 3-point shots. Draymond Green came this close, 1 stinking assist away from a triple-double, and DeMarcus Cousins actually was not dead weight, which was surprising. But don't bury the lead. The Golden State Warriors, who were trailing much of the first half of the game, they came out, played like gangbusters in the second half, the start of the second half. They got outscored in the fourth quarter, but they get the win, so they get the road victory. Now, if they just win their games at home, they will have yet another NBA championship. So the question, were you at all surprised that the Warriors played as well as they did in the third quarter, and that was enough for them to win the game? They didn't have to outscore the Raptors in any of the other quarters. I was not, although you expected, much like in Game 1, we talked about Game 1 of the Finals back a couple of days, I think it was like last month. It was last month. It literally was last month. But the Golden State Warriors were in position to take Game 1. They were within striking distance, but they didn't have that blitzkrieg situation. In this game, they had it in the third quarter, and they did enough in the third quarter to pull out a win. But anybody that thinks the Warriors were going to be swept or they were in trouble is a rube. Just a total rube. Moron. Right? Now, my thoughts here, you've got gobsmacked, breathless, and glass slipper. And we will put all of these things together, as we've been doing all throughout the NBA Finals. We'll put some brown gravy, some cheese curds on top of the French fries, and we'll make, there's fries, and we'll make some cheese curds. This is what we're going to do. Now, this was, in that third period, a vintage performance by the Warriors. The rest of the game, not so much. In Game 2, they were able to do what they could not do, as we just said in Game 1. The Warriors went into attack mode. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green in the third period run. They had a 20-0 run at one point, but 20 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, a partridge in a pear tree, whatever that means. Golden State shot 56% as a team, and they were passing the ball all over them. It was like the Harlem Globetrotters. They had 14 made baskets, 14 assists in the third period. In fact, the number, which is mind-boggling, the second half, the Warriors scored 22 field goals. And on every one of the baskets in the second half, it came via an assist. If every one of them in the second half, assist. I think it's only the second time that's happened in the modern era of the NBA Finals. And Golden State, they mentioned the 20-0 run. That's the longest in NBA Finals history in the modern era. When is the modern era? I don't know. I'm told it's when the merger happened between the ABA and the NBA a million years ago in the 1970s, when they had the Spirit of St. Louis. The NBA is still paying television royalties, as of last I checked, with the people that own the ABA team in St. Louis. They get a chunk of television revenue. But Toronto, in that third period, was, for stretches, punch drunk. They were gobsmacked by the Golden State Warriors in that run. It was a turbo-tastic stretch of basketball. But that was it. Once the third period came to an end, the Warriors came back, and they were sloppy, and they were just off a little bit. But it didn't matter. They built up enough cushion, and they did just enough by the skin on their chinny chin to pull out the victory. Now, part B of this, I was aghast at the overly dramatic coverage of injuries. Now, I should not be. I've watched the finals for years. We've talked about them, different radio shows I've done over the years. but it still was nauseating. The storyline at the beginning, and I know how this works. You have a production meeting, and you're like, okay, Curry's not feeling great. Let's go with that. Let's ride that. He's a star. This will be one of our talking points. We're going to have our sideline reporter all over this. We've got to go with it. So Steph Curry missed some shots early in the game. He looked to be a little sideways, and Doris Burke had breathless second-by-second coverage of Steph Curry and his illness, right? It was so over the top. It was so gaudy, right? We were informed, and I really needed to know this, that Curry consumed some energy gels. And why not just take some smelling salts? Why not just do the smelling salt thing? So I have a long drive. I live in Nevada. I do a show in Los Angeles, and I have a long drive. And sometimes I have some smelling salts It works. It works. Some very strong scent. It'll wake you up. It'll absolutely wake you up. So anyway, we had this coverage of Steph Curry. It was so over the top. I thought at one point when they kept going back to Doris Burke that she was going to report that Curry was suffering from gangrene and his left leg was in jeopardy of being amputated. I was expecting that. That's from a source close to the trainers of the Warriors. It was that crazy, the coverage. I mean, it was ridiculous. But this is the NBA Finals. That's how it always seems to go in the NBA. The NBA loves to play up the flu game or whatever, all the illnesses. Oh, overcoming Kobe had food poisoning one time in Sacramento. All this stuff. They have to play it up. But Curry didn't rise to the challenge per se. He had a good stat line. He didn't shoot the ball particularly well in this game. He missed 11 of the 17 shots he took. Curry shot 35%. And in the game, he had 23 points, but you took a lot of shots to get there. 17 shots to get to 23 points. And this should make you feel pretty good. You and I combined to take as many field goal attempts in the fourth quarter as Stephen Curry. He had none. He didn't get a single field goal up in the fourth quarter. He played almost 8 minutes, 7 minutes and 59 seconds, which I was told when I was in elementary school is close to 8 minutes in the fourth quarter, had 0 field goal attempts. Now, meanwhile, while Curry played and didn't play particularly well, at least efficient from the floor, the good news is the media has other injuries to obsess over. So, hallelujah! Hallelujah! And the NBA likes to take a week off between games. They're following the NFL's lead here, is what they're doing. They're following the NFL lead. And so when you follow the NFL lead, you have a lot of downtime, and so expect to have sensory overload about Klay Thompson, who, according to the reports, dinged his left hamstring, has hamstring tightness, and he fell on his tuchus after a three-point attempt, did not come back to the game. It looked to me, as someone that has fallen on my tuchus, like a tailbone injury. And if you've ever heard, let me tell you something. No BS here. All right, the tailbone, which you think, it's not that big a deal. When you injure your tailbone, you cannot sit down anywhere. You can't really lay down anywhere. It sucks. But they're saying it was not a tailbone injury for Klay Thompson. So you know what he needs? He needs to go to L.A. and jump in the Pacific Ocean. Because remember, he told us earlier in the playoffs that ocean water in Southern California is holy water. It's actually polluted water, but he likes it, and it makes him feel better. It makes him feel better. So expect to hear Curry might not play in Game 3. They asked Curry right after, or Thompson rather. They asked Thompson right after the game. He had the hard fall on his caboose there, pain, and they asked Thompson about the injury. He said, "I'll be fine. I don't see myself missing Game 3." Guess what? That's not going to stop the cavalry. All right, the bugle has been sounded. You need a story the next couple of days if you're in mainstream NBA media, and so the establishment will go over the top on Klay Thompson and whether he can play or not, and also Kevon Looney. Kevon Looney, who sprained a I don't know, I guess he's Tom's son, but he sprained a collarbone. Tom Looney! I don't know, whatever. So you can expect to hear a lot of chatter about his status, although he's got a secondary player. And also Kevin Durant. Will Kevin Durant practice? Will Kevin Durant be allowed to play? Our lonely hearts need Kevin Durant to play. Now, the last word on this. If you do an assessment of the NBA Finals after 2 games, Golden State is fortunate that they're squared up. Toronto has outplayed the Warriors the balance of the first 2 games of the NBA Finals. That is not just my opinion, it is a fact. Let's go to the stats. The Warriors, in the third quarter, that's the only quarter the Warriors have done well in. The Warriors in the third quarter are plus 16 in the first 2 games. That's pretty good, right? Plus 16. But in the other quarters, every other quarter, the Warriors have been outscored in. The first, the second, and the fourth quarter, I believe that's all the other quarters, and they have been outscored in all those by a total of 17 points. So the margin, the difference between these teams is 1 point after 2 games, which means there has been no separation. But for 75% of the NBA Finals, Toronto has been the more efficient team. They have outscored in each 12-minute block of time the opposition. And I would also like to say to my Canadian brothers and sisters who were giving me crap the other day, you said Pascal Siakam's performance was a fluke. You don't know the Raptors. You've never seen a Raptor game in your life. Hey, bozo, Doink the Clown, it was a fluke. He sucked. He was terrible. Siakam, suckage. Deal with it, you morons. That was a fluke out-of-body experience in Game 1. You can expect to see a lot more of the Game 2 peasant status of Siakam. That was the most predictable thing you could have had. You don't have to be anybody with half a brain knows Siakam's not that good. He had a fluke performance in the opener. The 32-point show-stopping 14 of 17 oil painting, and sure enough, he came back, and guess what? That glass slipper turned into a crappy shoe at midnight.
Pascal Siakam.
That's right, Pascal Siakam, right there. Could not say it any better, our friend in Brooklyn. Siakam, 12 points. He missed 13 of 18 shots. He shot less than 30%. In Game 2. He had more misses in the first 5 minutes of the game than he had all of Game 1. All right, so the Ben Maller Show on Fox. Let's hear from some of the participants. Nick Nurse pointing out that, hey, the Raptors now need to travel well. They need to travel well.
You know, we got to go out there and get one, right? That's all we got to do is get one, and we can do that.
All right, let's go to Kawhi Leonard. Here's Kawhi Leonard. Commenting, you talk about Captain Obvious. Kawhi, let's see here. Let's talk about the third period here, Kawhi. Was that the turning point in the game? Captain Obvious.
It's just that third quarter. I feel like it just really killed us. You know what I mean?
Great point.
18-0 round. If we can't score no baskets, you're not going to win no game.
Yeah. So, Kawhi, I think we can all agree now that the Raptors have lost a game, you're done, right? There's no chance. The Warriors are going to win the next 3 games. They'll win in 5. It'll be not a gentleman's sweep, because a gentleman's sweep is when you win the first 3, then you lose 1, and then the other team comes back and wins. But you're not going to. It's over, right? Just admit it right now, Kawhi. You're done.
It's not over yet.
What?
It's still basketball, and no matter what jersey you got on. And, that's what I'm trying to do. Just lead and win games.
It's a hot take. Mr. Excitement right there, Kawhi Leonard. Full of life, vim, and vigor. Always a great soundbite. He is always a wonderful soundbite.